So I know the AEK assault rifle came out like a week and a half, maybe even 2 weeks ago at this point. Unfortunately, I had a review, I had everything ready to go, and I got the flu. So that's kind of why I sound like doo-doo cheeks this video. I do apologize for that, but I've been wanting to talk about this weapon for quite some time now, and let's get into it. So the AEK-971 is another vault weapon added here in Battlefield 2042. This weapon has been introduced in other games, the most notable one being Battlefield 4, but I also believe it was in Battlefield 3 and even Bad Company 2. So let's start off with how you unlock this weapon, and it's actually pretty easy. So first, you got to go on a 5-kill streak and 1 life with an assault rifle. Sounds difficult, but it's really pretty easy. And then on top of that, you can also get 100 kills or assists with the AK-24, or you can just use the AEK and Portal. Now, before we get much further into the video, I just want to say, when it comes to these different weapon and maybe even equipment and thing, you know, anything that has to do with the review from me is probably going to be a little bit less analytical and a little bit more how's it feel in my hands type thing. Like, if that makes sense to you guys, I'm not trying to be another stats numbers person. We got those people already, and they do a great job at what they do. I'm just saying, when it comes to my type of reviews and videos that I enjoy watching, you know, I kind of just prefer maybe a little bit of data to back what they're saying, but for the most part, just tell me how you feel. Let's go with the flow, right? Anyways, with that being said, these are the stats that EA has given us here on Battlefield. The most important one to pay attention to is easily the rate of fire, because this weapon, although I do enjoy using it, it is a bullet hose, okay? You're gonna spend more time reloading than you are actually shooting this weapon. Now, because this weapon shoots so fast, you know, that typically is associated with pretty high recoil, right? Maybe it's because I'm a mouse and keyboard player, or maybe it's just because I suck. I really haven't, you know, spent enough time to determine that yet. But this weapon's recoil is off the charts, dude, okay? I actually went ahead and did a couple samples here for you guys to see. Tried using, you know, different attachments like the grip, you know, without the grip, a sight, no sight. And I think it's all pretty conclusive that this weapon, although it shoots fast, which means it kills fast, which is always great, because who doesn't want that? But, you know, when you can't keep those shots on target, what do they really matter, right? Anyways, that's kind of the science behind the weapon. Now, getting into just my personal thoughts and feelings on this weapon, you know, I'm glad they brought it back, really, because I actually did enjoy using this gun in the past. Unfortunately, I never played Battlefield 4, so I never got to experience the most prime version of this gun, but I did use it in Battlefield 3, and I remember it being pretty good. So I'm glad they brought it back. You know, I always enjoy, whether it's Call of Duty or Battlefield, whenever they bring back a nostalgic weapon, even though we both know it's probably not going to be as good as it once was, it's still nice to just get your hands on it again. You know, it kind of reminds me of like when a bunch of old dudes get together that, you know, are super passionate about cars, and they just sit there and brag about, oh, my 1988 Plymouth, or, you know, whatever, and they just reminiscence over and over. And so that's kind of that same feeling here that we're getting when they bring back these weapons. So I do appreciate the vault weapons in Battlefield 2042. However, most of them are really not good, at least for me. I don't know. Again, maybe I just suck at the game. But like overall, the vault weapons are just kind of there. I mean, they're like mid-tier, so they're not crap, but you know, they're not anything I just want to use over and over and over again, especially when you're pretty limited on the attachment. So anyways, I'm getting off track here. This is one of the upper tier vault weapons in my opinion. Although it is an assault rifle with, you know, up to 7 times magnification on this if you really need it for some reason, although it may not be a true to itself AR, it is still a very, very good and viable option in the game, especially up close and personal. Whenever you're like raiding through a building, or, you know, side streets or somewhere, interactions are going to be, you know, pretty close combat. This is definitely a weapon that can take you to the promised land. That is, of course, assuming you're not getting swarmed by a bunch of enemies at once, because, well, this thing only holds like 31 rounds in a magazine, and on top of that, you know, your reload is not the fastest, but you're gonna have to pick off 1 or 2 enemies, step back behind some cover, reload, and then engage again. You don't have the option to put on an extended mag or anything like that here. So that is the one downside to this weapon, I would say. I don't know if it's realistic or possible, or, you know, whatever. I get it's a vault weapon, so there's not really attachments, but the ability to put on like a 50 round, maybe even a 40 round magazine on this thing would be killer, dude. That would totally change the dynamic of this gun. But for now, like I said, 900 rounds a minute, you only get 30, 31 in a magazine, which means, you want to push and engage enemies in a short distance, but usually when that happens, you're going to face 3-4 enemies at a time. And so with this weapon, you're only going to be able to pick off 1 or 2 of them and, kind of go from there. Overall, though, I think this edition of the AEK here in Battlefield 2042 was a great addition. I definitely see myself using this from time to time, and it's actually a viable option here. Anyways, guys, that's it for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate your guys' support as of lately. Like I said, I want to be more active right now, but I gotta get over this sickness, man. This thing has really put me on my rear end. Anyways, if you're new here, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it today. I'll catch you all next time. Have a great rest of your day. Later.